Can I ask you something tonight? How many times have you known exactly what you wanted to say, but you didn't say it because you didn't want to upset someone? How many times have you said yes when everything inside of you was saying no? How many times have you known something wasn't right, but convinced yourself to overlook it because you didn't want another argument? We talk a lot about what happens when someone else betrays us, but tonight I want to talk about something harder. What happens when we start betraying ourselves? I'm not saying that to condemn you. I'm saying it because I had to recognize it in myself. Sometimes, after experiencing betrayal, rejection, abandonment, or loss, we become so afraid of experiencing that pain again that we start doing whatever we can do to keep people around us happy. We become overly accommodating. We stop saying what we really think. We ignore things that bother us. We minimize our needs, and sometimes we'll call it keeping the peace. But there is a difference between keeping the peace and abandoning yourself. Let me give you an example. Suppose someone says something disrespectful to you. You know it bothered you. You know it crossed a line, but instead of you saying something, you tell yourself, oh, it's not that serious. I don't want to start anything. Maybe I am being too sensitive. I'm going to just let it go. And sometimes letting something go is wisdom. Everything doesn't require confrontation. But here's the question: are you letting it go because you genuinely have peace about it? Or are you letting it go because you're afraid of what might happen if you speak? Those are two completely different things. And I want you to understand something tonight. Peace that requires you to continually silence yourself is not really peace, it's avoidance. Sometimes we become so accustomed to protecting relationships that we stop protecting ourselves. We'll protect everybody else's feelings, everybody else's comfort, everybody else's opinion of us. Meanwhile, something inside of us is screaming, what about me? This is one reason rebuilding self trust is so important, because every time you recognize something and then convince yourself that what you recognize does not matter, you teach yourself not to trust your own voice. Every time you say, I'm not going to allow this anymore, and then repeatedly allow it, you teach yourself that your own word does not mean very much. And little by little, you stop trusting yourself. But here's the good news: if self trust can be damaged through repeated self abandonment, it can also be rebuilt through repeated self honoring. One decision at a time, one boundary at a time, one honest conversation at a time, one kept promise at a time. And before we go any further, if you're listening tonight and thinking, I, I don't even know where to begin with all of this, I do not want to only encourage you. I want to help you take your next step. I created a free healing guide for women navigating betrayal, abandonment, heartbreak, rejection, and loss. It'll help you begin looking honestly at where you are and start taking intentional steps toward healing. And that link is in the description. And if you're ready to go deeper, I also created a healing workbook with guided prompts, practical exercises to help you continue doing the work. And that workbook is available for $37 and in the description as well. I want to give you something practical tonight. Get your journal and I want you to write this question: where in my life am I keeping the peace at the expense of my own peace? Sit with that question. Maybe it's in a relationship, maybe it's with family, maybe it's at work, maybe it's in a friendship. Maybe you keep saying, oh, it's fine, but it's not fine. Maybe you keep saying, it doesn't bother me, but it does. Maybe you keep saying, I can handle it, but you are exhausted. Tell yourself the truth, because healing requires truth. Then I want you to write a second question: what would honoring myself look like in this situation? Notice I did not ask, what would make the other person happy. I did not ask, what would keep everyone comfortable. I asked, what would honoring myself look like? Maybe it means speaking up. Maybe it means saying no. Maybe it means asking for help. Maybe it means setting a boundary. Maybe it simply means admitting this hurts me. And if you are a woman of faith, I want you to understand this too. You can bring the truth to God. You don't have to give God the answer you think a Christian woman is supposed to give. You can say, God, I'm angry. God, I'm disappointed. God, I don't understand. God, I miss them. God, this hurts. God already knows. Healing doesn't require pretending with Him, it requires bringing Him the truth. And this is where I want us to start going deeper as a community. I don't want you to watch these videos and say, oh man, that was good, and then go right back to living exactly the same way. I want us to practice healing. I want you to learn how to hear yourself, believe what you know, honor what you need, and follow through on what you said you would do. Because this is how self-trust is rebuilt. So here is your challenge for this week. Find one small place where you have been abandoning yourself to keep someone else comfortable. Don't try to fix your entire life tonight. Choose one and ask yourself, what would it look like to honor myself here? Then take one step. Maybe your step is saying no. Maybe your step is finally having a conversation. Maybe your step is stopping yourself from sending that text. Maybe your step is keeping a boundary you already set. Maybe your step is simply writing down what you really feel. Whatever it is, keep that promise to yourself, because every time you do, you are rebuilding something. You're teaching yourself, I hear you. I believe you. You matter. I will not continually abandon you just to keep someone else. And I want to be clear. Honoring yourself does not mean becoming selfish. It does not mean refusing correction. It does not mean you always get your way. And it doesn't mean every feeling automatically becomes truth. It means your feelings, needs, boundaries, wisdom, they deserve a seat at the table too. And if you are if you're accepting tonight's challenge, I want you to write in the comments, I will stop abandoning myself. You don't have to tell us about the situation. You don't have to tell us who it involves. Just make that commitment to yourself. And then if you see another woman write the same thing, I want you to encourage her, and I want you to tell her that she can do this. Because that is the community, that's the type of community that I want to build here. Not women just simply watching each other heal, but us actually helping each other heal. And if you're watching it but you haven't subscribed yet, I want you to become part of the I Can Face Tomorrow community. We're going deeper, we're telling the truth, we are doing the work, we are rebuilding, and we are discovering that pain will not have the final word over our lives. Remember, what happened to you is not the end of your story. There is purpose on the other side of your pain. And no matter what you have been through, you can face tomorrow. And I'll see you next time.